Ever hear the expression, you can't be in two places at one time? Well, it's pretty much true, because when you try to split your energy to be in two places, you're not solidly in either place. And instead of getting twice as much done, you wind up losing your balance and getting nothing done at all. Now in Tai Chi Chuan, we learn to use this principle to throw your opponent off center. This kinetic concept is called lie, or splitting, and is the energy we are practicing in this lesson.
Lie, splitting energy. Lie, splitting energy.
Number 1, turn and deflect. Shift your weight all the way onto the right foot and open to the left. The left foot pivoting, the right foot having about 90% of the weight on it and only about 10% in that left heel. Now, number 2, deflect an empty stance. Shift the weight onto the left foot, bringing the right foot in so that the toes touch the ground. Now the left foot has about 90% of the weight and the right foot only about 10%. Number 3, step out and rotate. The right foot steps out to the front of the mat. Again, remember though, this is about a 30-degree angle right across the side of the brown round circle in the front of your mat. As you sink down into this stance, you pivot the toes in slightly. Here the weight is about 60% on the left foot and only 40% on the right foot. Number 4, turn and split. Shift the weight forward onto the right leg, and the weight is now about 60% on the front foot. Make sure that those front toes are still pointed in. We'll see why this is so important in the application breakdown. And number 5, back to neutral. Shift the weight back, step back into your side-by-side stance, the hands floating down to your sides. Step the feet together, the head floating up, the spine getting longer, the breath getting calmer.
Lie, splitting energy.
Number 1, turn and deflect. So rotate, the waist is turning towards the left. The hands are trailing the body's rotation. So as the body rotates, the hands just kind of follow along, deflecting outward. Here the palms are down, the fingertips pointing to the front. Number 2, deflect in an empty step. Hands pretty much stay the same, palms down, fingertips to the front. As I step into my empty step, remember to keep the elbows soft, slightly bent, not locked out. Number 3, step out and rotate. So first the waist turns slightly more to the left, right? You have an additional rotation here. The hands continue to stay by your side. The hands are about arm's length apart. Number 4, turn and split. We begin with another rotation. The waist turns a little bit more to the left as you sink down, gathering the energy. And now the hands draw an arc to the air. The right hand drawing this arc, stopping just past the right shoulder. The left hand pressing diagonally forward, and the left hand is going to end slightly higher than the right. And finally we finish with back to neutral. Here the hands float back up about shoulder height. The spine gets straight. The hands float down to your sides. The feet step together, the head floating up, the spine getting longer, the breath getting calmer. Number 1, turn and deflect. The hands brush down and away as though you were connecting with your imaginary opponent. Number 2, deflect an empty step. I turn to look where I'm shifting my weight and then turn back so that my eyes connect with my imaginary opponent. This is what's known as the spirit of the eyes leading the movement. Number 3, step out and rotate. So here, remember that we have this initial rotation towards the left. You have to imagine a spring being coiled and gathering energy. Now later on, we're going to be adding explosive movements to this technique. So even though I'm doing it slowly now, you still have to gather that energy, and that's what this initial rotation is for. Number 4, turn and split. So there's even more coiling up here. Really grind it down into that spring, and then you'll be able to explode forward, bringing your hands into the splitting. Now remember that the splitting technique is about sending your opponent in 2 directions. One part of his body going one way, one part of his body going the other way, and that's why he can't keep his root. So visualize, imagine your right hand grabbing the opponent's wrist and the left hand pushing the opponent's upper arm to throw him to the side. One more time. You'd see the right hand grabbing the wrist and pulling, left hand pushing forward. And now you're done with the technique, so let that energy go. You shift back, steps, feet side by side, the hands float up here. The energy just slowly dissipates. The feet step together, your head floats up like a balloon filled with helium, the spine getting longer, and calm down, relax, let the breath go out.
Each time you practice, remain fully present and try to pay attention to your body's sensations.